In our last two sessions, we discussed a letter from a woman who had been sexually abused as a child by her grandfather, now dead, and her neighbor. She said she couldn't live without talking about it anymore, but she also knew that talking about it would be very destructive to her family and to her neighbor. I helped her see these two men in an entirely different way. She had always regarded them as two mature men who had victimized her. But they were far from mature. They were empty and afraid, and had used her as a source of imitation love to dull the pain of their lives. Now, back to the writer of the letter. I reemphasize that to these men, you were just an object to be used. If they hadn't used you, they would have used another child, or an adult, or pornography, or drugs, or alcohol, or anything else that would have made them feel better. They used you because you were convenient. They weren't trying really to hurt you, only trying to find relief for themselves. You just got in the way as they blindly reached out for any kind of relief from their loneliness and helplessness. What they did was terribly wrong, but you'll find it easier to let go of your anger and sense of being hurt when you realize that they were just pathetically empty, not primarily malignant and trying to hurt you. That brings us to the real problem here. Your real problem is not what happened to you. Your real problem is how you feel about what happened. Really, the real problem is that you feel victimized. You wrote about being abused. You wrote about what was done to you, about those men being monsters, and about feeling stuck. You feel victimized. And that is a terrible feeling to live with. It makes you feel helpless. It makes you a prisoner to the people who hurt you. It puts you in a position of blaming other people for your unhappiness. It also makes it impossible for you to ever be happy until other people change. It's the worst way in the world to live. Now, did other people hurt you? Yes, they did. You were injured. You were victimized. But sweetie, we are all injured. We're all victimized, most of us every day. And it happens every time somebody doesn't love us. Not being loved is the worst injury there is. And it happens whenever somebody yells at us, speaks an unkind word, gets angry at us, gives us a nasty look, ignores us, or sexually abuses us. It's natural to focus on sexual abuse as a kind of special injury. It's tempting to do that because it makes you special. You get a lot of justification for your pain in that way. But don't fall for that. What's really hurting you is not the fact that you were abused sexually. What's hurting you is the fact that these two men so flagrantly demonstrated a complete lack of concern for you. For a young, trusting child, that's devastating. They cared only about themselves, and you were hoping for much better treatment than that at their hands. You expected to be loved. What child doesn't? And the failure to get that from them and from other people in your life, like your parents, that is your real wound. It may seem bold of me to mention that you didn't get unconditionally loved by your parents, but that's a virtual certainty, because if you had been loved by your parents, you would have felt safe enough to tell them what happened to you, and you didn't. And you wouldn't doubt now that they'd believe you if you told them about this. We'll talk more about victimhood in our next session.